Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Forex trading journey. This is going to be day 31. I hope each and every one of you are having an amazing, excuse me, amazing day so far. And it's quite incredible. So it's about, what is it, 5:30 my time. So about 30 minutes have elapsed. Still, while I normally trade, did not get a trading opportunity until this particular point. And here we are with our first trade on UK oil. And I find this funny because I was looking at my list of topics I was going to go ahead and talk about today. And one of them was that, you know, we need what I would consider patience. We need to muster this in order to get the opportunity. And I was just thinking to myself, well, as a Forex trader, while we do have opportunities sometimes that come to us right immediately, there are other times that don't mind me. I'm just trying to make sure I get 200 points for our strategy that we're going to be doing for UK oil moving forward. So that's about 88.970. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a line at 88.970. So let me go ahead and do that. 88.970. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, so we've got that going for us. Now, the reason I even bring this up is because, especially when it comes to what we're doing in the market, I know that a lot of the time, we are wanting to make sure, hey, we get a quick opportunity here, we get a quick opportunity there. Sometimes those do happen in the market where there's just opportunities coming from absolutely every direction, and we're able to take them. But sometimes, what the market can do, again, every day in the market is different. There are days where we've seen that we've had winning days. There are days that we've had losing days, and there's going to be days in between. And sometimes there are days where we have plenty of trade opportunities, and there are other days where we may not necessarily get those opportunities for a while. And here's a perfect example of the latter, where we spent about 30 minutes, or I should say I spent about 30 minutes just waiting for my opportunity, just, going through all these charts, waiting throughout my opportunity. And once I saw that it was time to go ahead and take a trade, I went ahead and capitalized. Now, let's go ahead and let's talk about what we're doing here with UK oil. And we can see that there was a support right over here, right at this particular juncture right here. And with this particular support, price came up, tried to go back down, did not do so. And then it was really throughout this particular period right here where price didn't necessarily go past this line right here. And we have a little bit of an uptrend, and understanding that also, if I look at the last resistance marker that I can go ahead and take a look at. So the high point right here would be about 89.953. Understanding that price has broken that, or did create a little bit of a higher high with this wick right here, this does tell me that we are looking at a uptrend, or at least it's looking like this particular price point right here is a support. Here's another particular support right here that price is failing to break. And we're going to go ahead and execute a buy trade because of that. And so understanding, that this is the reason why we're getting into these trades. Again, it's not just because of the arrow. Now, yes, as far as simplicity goes, I definitely say, hey, if there's an arrow right there, I'm going to go ahead and take a buy trade on it. However, I also know I want to understand the behind the scenes of how come that arrow was placed there. The arrow wasn't placed there just because it felt very nice for that arrow to go ahead and stay right there. But indeed, there was a opportunity to go ahead and get into the market. And again, it took a minute, it took a while. This is our first trading opportunity. So within the first 30 minutes, we didn't get a trade opportunity until now. And so here's our patience coming in and allowing us to get into this trade exactly when this particular trade is ready. And just taking a look at everything else, I don't have another trading opportunity for my pairs right now. Everything is kind of in a standstill. So UK oil is the only pair, at least for right now, that we're going to go ahead and we'll concentrate on. Now, another thing that I definitely want to talk about is, having the wherewithal, having the ability to go ahead and learn from what we're doing right now. And throughout these past 31 days, as much as I like to go ahead and teach what I know, go through all my trades and tell everybody, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what we're doing. I also understand how important it is to also adopt to a student mindset. And what I mean by a student mindset is, after these calls, of course, I look at these videos and I see, okay, here's something that I can go ahead and I could do a deep dive on a little bit further for you guys and give a little bit more of my expertise, my wisdom, because there are some particular topics that I have covered that or what I'd like to call a superficial glance. Now, what I mean by a superficial glance is I'm just giving you I guess, the surface explanation on some of the concepts that we're talking about. Well, what I'm doing is I'm giving you a little bit of a picture on what is important to know. Then when I go back to these videos, I'm like, oh, okay, I could go ahead and actually talk about that topic or dive into that topic a little bit better. My idea is it's like allow me to allude this to the iceberg, right? Let me go ahead and picture an iceberg for you. There are some concepts where I would go ahead and I we basically talk like it's the tip of the iceberg, but of course there's more going on underneath. And so by reviewing these videos and adopting to or putting myself right into the position of where you guys are coming from. I like to put myself in. I always talk about this. The ideal people that I'm really serving are just myself at 22, because I really am just talking to my 5-year self, just kind of showing them, hey, you this is what's going on in the. Oh, let's go ahead and let's close that trade right there. Okay, so that's our first. That's our first trade right there. Now, of course, they aren't as pretty as that, but they are not as pretty as that all the time, but when that does happen, it is very, very, very nice. So our first trading opportunity today, we went ahead and we got a win. I actually do have a. Oh, it looks like that buyer disappeared right there. So I'm going to go ahead and scour the markets for additional opportunities, and when I find one, I will definitely let you guys know. All right, everybody. So we are back at it. I did go ahead and take a sell on gold. We had the down arrow here. That candle was started at 6:45 my time, closed at about 7 o'clock. So that's about a minute from now. We went ahead and that down arrow. It did show up, so we're going to go ahead and take a sell trade on gold. So we're going to move that to the top right there. And then LTC USD, we also have a sell right there. So I'm going to go ahead and place a sell on LTC. So we've got gold on the sell, LTC on the sell. Let's see what else we got. We have a platinum. That is also officially eligible for a sell. So I'm going to go ahead and take a sell on platinum. I want to go ahead and also, let me do this here. So the candle right here, the high point was at 894.60. So if I go all the way to 894.60, there we go. Make that at about 200 points because that's a 20 pip allotment right there. 896.70. Let me remember that. 896.70, 896.70. Okay, perfect. So we've got that sell trade going on for platinum. We're going to move that right there. And then US oil, we do not have anything for US oil, so we're going to leave that alone. So right now, we currently have a sell trade going on for gold. We have a sell trade going on for LTC USD, and we also have a sell trade that is going on for platinum currently. So those are our two trades that we're going to go ahead and allow to play out in the market, and we will take it from there. Okay, so with that being said, I know that last time we connected, or earlier in the episode, we wanted to go ahead and talk about specifically adapting to a student mindset, and that part of that comes from me going and reviewing all of my videos, and just seeing what I need to go ahead and do a deeper dive in. But another part of it is also doing additional learning as well. So that additional learning, that comes from not just the forex trading, but also learning more about myself, the way that I need to communicate, the way that I need to teach, the way that I need to lead, the way that I need to feel my feelings. Now, you may not think that that is, necessarily connected to what we're doing out in the market. How does learning about yourself actually teach you how to start trading? Well, in a kin, it allows you to by learning more about yourself, you learn exactly the tendencies that you're going to play while you're in the market. So, for example, I've talked about astrology a whole lot, and well, maybe not a whole lot, but I've mentioned it a couple of times here and there. And some of the things that I'm starting to notice about myself is my calm demeanor, the way that I want to impart as much wisdom as I can, the more that I want to give to each and every one of you, and also be able to lead by example. Those are some things that help me as far as becoming a teacher, as far as being able to teach exactly what I know, and my motivation for wanting to go ahead and get that to you guys, be able to give as much as I can. And so by understanding it in that particular context, what that does for me, it allows me to understand, okay, this is definitely who I am. I've learned a little bit more about myself as we move forward throughout the journey, and it allows me to make sure that it keeps me at a state of being present, keeps me in a state of being in my own energy so that I can do, because I desire to give a great job each and every episode. And so understanding what it will take for me to do that is ultimately going to help. Now, on top of that, I also have access. I'm very grateful to have access to some very, very amazing Forex teachers and Forex mentors. I've said them religiously on this show. Salvatore Leto, Ryan Dr. Check, Dr. Luis Ariaza, Maurice Katz. These individuals help me grow as a trader and allow me to see, okay, these are some things that I could be doing right with my trading, and these are some things that I need to certainly pay attention to. So it's all important to me as we go ahead and as we start to take these trades. Just because I call myself, just because on this channel right here, I am considered a forex trading coach. That does not mean that, that means the learning process stops. You always learn. No matter what stage you are at the game, you have to always be at a learning student mindset. You have to be willing to do the additional learning, because if you're not growing, then certainly what happens is that you're dying. And we certainly don't want that to happen. I certainly don't want what I do to get stale, to fall apart, to be the same old, same old. That's not how we're going to grow. There's always going to be something new that we need to understand that we have the ability to do. So as if we can go ahead and understand, hey, you know, this is important for me to make sure that I'm always at my best, and that I am performing at my best, and that's certainly going to help us move forward in the I'm just going to close that. I know it's a cent off $3, but listen, I'm okay with the results. I'm okay with winning that trade with just a 1 cent off of $3. I'm not gonna complain that much. So I'm gonna take that victory for gold right there. And so we'll move that to the not bottom of the pile, but we're gonna move that to the pairs that we're not necessarily paying attention to right now. And so right now we're focusing in on LTC USD. So that's the next target that I'm taking a look at. And then I also have platinum right here that I'm monitoring as well. So we still have two active trades going, one for LTC, one for platinum. The one that was at gold, we just went ahead and we completed that. And see, the beauty of doing this particular system, by the way, of hedging, right? So a lot of these trades right here, we could definitely tell they're in hedging mode because of the one thing that you'll notice is the amount of drawdown on some of these accounts from balance compared to equity. And again, I've religiously said that I don't pay attention much to balance. Excuse me. I don't pay attention much to balance. My focus is more so on the equity part. And so by understanding that my focus needs to be more so on the equity part, that takes away a lot of pressure for me to really look at that balance and see, ooh, that's such a very big drawdown sort of situation. Now, granted, the objective is to not get into drawdown and, of course, get into the profit that we desire. But if I can frame it in the mindset of, okay, the big objective here, once again, is not necessarily the balance, like how much we're away from the balance, but the objective is our equity either performing at or above where we were. Now there are some pairs that I'm testing right now that are certainly not meeting that case, and that is a matter of just getting that corrected. However, by testing our strategy, practicing our strategy, knowing how to hedge trade, specifically which pairs at which particular settings at the appropriate trend, how to enter, how to exit a trade, and risk management rules. That is only going to go ahead and help us ensure that we're moving forward in the right direction. Now, another concept I want to talk to everybody about, and I'd mentioned this briefly on one of my earlier episodes. I think about episode 10 or day 10 or day 11, is exactly the volume of what's going on in the market. What everyone has to understand is that for a lot of the governments that are out there, and we can go all the way back to when, stock market, stock trading, all this stuff really started, which was, from what I understand, about 400, 500 years ago. Since that particular point in time, money has only been increasing in circulation. So when you think about it, I'm not saying that we can generate unlimited wealth at this particular point. Yet, the one thing I want to point out is how possible it truly is to be able to, for me, again, I go back to my ambitions, right? I am a world changing emperor. I am a 10, 11, 12 counting figure earner. I am a global network. Let me go to the part where I say that I am a 10, 11, 12 counting figure earner. Now, 10 figures is $1 billion, right? And that number seems so big. It seems very much out there. It's like I'm shooting for the stars. But when we think about the Forex market, how it produces, again, $6.6 trillion a day, then we can truly see how possible it is for maybe not to be a billionaire overnight. I'm definitely not saying that, but we can certainly see how there is a path, a roadmap to this, a roadmap to generating those figures. And all we need to know is how to go ahead and crack that code. And I guarantee you $6.6 trillion is this particular year. Just imagine what this will be in 5, 10 years. That number is going to go up. Governments will not destroy money, right? They'll print money, but they'll never destroy money. If they destroy money, think about it like this. If they destroy money, you are talking about systematically destroying people's accounts. You're systematically also destroying banks. Banks depend on the circulation. The economy depends on this circulation. And so while we hear talks about recessions and governments raising interest rates and all that, they're going to do everything. And yes, that's going to happen. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the money is just going to dry up and never and cease to exist. Every government knows that in order to increase our economy, one, it takes resources, which the earth has a finite amount of resources. And if we want to go into how we can, expand into that, what we can do afterwards, that's a separate conversation for another time. That's a whole can of worms I'm not looking to open right now. However, one thing that we can consider is this. Okay, everybody, I just want to give a quick update on what's going on my trading so far. So our first platinum trade, we ended up closing that by placing a buy trade right up here. This candle right here actually got to the point where I wanted to go ahead and place just a buy trade right there to protect my capital. And then once it came down, now the down arrow still appeared, so I ended up placing another sell trade after this candle closed. So actually, let me get my pen so I can illustrate this. It might probably be a lot easier. So we entered our first trade right here, and we had our point somewhere around here. This is where we wanted to go ahead and close. This candle right here actually went over to this point, so we placed a buy trade right here. And then once this candle closed, we placed a sell trade at the close of this candle. And ultimately, here is our next line where we would place a buy trade if we would get to there. But with that being said, this trade is moving in the right direction. As we could see, price has been going down ever since. And then as far as LTC USD is concerned, we ended up closing that trade because the sell arrow did disappear on that particular candle. So that's where we're at right now as far as our trading is concerned. Gold right now, I did miss that opportunity, so that's okay. We'll come back to it when we have a chance to. We do have a potential buy trade for UK oil coming up in the next 13 minutes, so I'm actually gonna move that up right there for us. And then other than that, we do have a potential buy for US oil, so I'm going to move that as well. Actually, let me take a look at gold right here. Well, see, it's at that same position, so I'm actually going to go ahead and I am going to place a sell right there, so I'll go ahead and take that sell trade right there. So right now we have got ourselves, okay, so we got ourselves a platinum trade going on. We got ourselves a gold sell trade going on. We have a potential UK oil buy trade that could take place, and we have a potential US oil trade that could take place as well. So that is where we are at currently. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing how this will go ahead and ultimately work out for us. And so we're going to go ahead and let those trades take effect, or we're going to let those trades play out. So with that being said, I do want to come back over now to what we were talking about beforehand, which was money increase in circulation. I talked about how, as far as governments are concerned, while people are saying we're going to decrease the money supply, recession, all that good stuff, fact of the matter is we may have increasing interest rates, but that does not mean that the money supply is going to dry up anytime soon. That does not make sense for an economy that is looking to expand like every other country in the world is. There's just too many countries that do want to expand their economy. So with money decreasing in circulation, that doesn't make any sense to doing that whatsoever. Now, there are a few things where we could talk about as far as what I see coming into, and I'm not an expert in the economics by any stretch of the imagination. So, this is just my own take on it. But the matter of the fact is again, we are, there are other countries out there that are wanting to expand. I do believe that only money will increase in circulation. Thus, we'll see a $6.6 trillion a day financial market turn into God knows what that market is going to be. And that's a beautiful thing when we think about it, because now there's opportunities for other people besides myself to go ahead and really take advantage. Because at the end of the day, everyone in this market, whether you're a buyer, you're a seller, you're a hedger, whatever you are, whether you're a retail trader, institutional investor, hedge fund trader, or a government bank trading, everyone is trying to get their piece of the pie. Again, I'm gonna reiterate that. In fact, let's get our let's get our calculator. Let's get our calculator. Say that you only get a crumb. And what I mean by a crumb is a percent of a percent, right? So it takes 6.6. So let's see, that'd be 6,600,000,000,000 So that would be, okay, so that is the billion part. Here's the million part. Here's 1,000 part. Here is the, well, 100 part. You divide that by 100 to get our, 1% of 6.6 trillion. That is about 66 billion right there. And then we go ahead and we divide that by another 100. So you're telling me that 1% of 1% of $6.6 trillion is $660 million. Hell, frick it. Why don't we go ahead and take 1% of 1% of 1%? That's $6.6 million. I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is so much opportunity for someone just to get a crumb. You just see a crumb in this market and for a day, and you'd be absolutely amazing. And so everyone is just trying to get their piece. Everyone is just trying to get their crumbs. And so, we're all playing in this market. It's not that I'm directly going to participate. Let's call me participant A, and participant B is somewhere. I'm not saying to what I'm not doing is I'm not looking at participant B and saying, "Oh, I want to go ahead and get him going." No. I'm ultimately just looking out for myself in terms of the money that I want to collect. However, participant B is looking at the same thing, and participant A and participant B in this scenario may not agree with each other. Participant A might say, because such and such, and this equals this, I'm looking for a buy. Participant B may have his own formula, and instead of looking for a buy, it is a sell. Now, the beautiful part is, whether participant A or participant B is right, here's what participants see, and this is what I truly want everyone to see, no pun intended, what we're really doing right here. The matter of the fact is that we can go ahead and play both sides. We can be a hybrid of participant A, participant B. That's what participant C is doing. And thus, we can go ahead and buy or sell, and that's the purpose of our hedging system that we're developing. Market participants are indirectly trying to compete with each other. I've talked about it. We got all these people who think that prices are going to go up, prices are going to go down, and here we are. We don't necessarily care whether whoever's right. All we care about is exactly where are we going to make our money? Where are we going to go ahead in this situation and say, do we want to participate with the bulls or do we want to participate with the bears based on our data? So far, I feel like being a bear today. Based on these two trades, I feel like being a bear. On oil and on really US and UK oil, I might feel like being a bull today. And that's the beautiful thing about Forex. I don't have to be we don't have to be directly blind to one bias over another bias. We just look at what the data is in front of us. We be objective with the data that's in front of us. We look for the trend. And so far in this trend scenario for both gold and platinum, the two trades that we are currently in, we're looking at a bear market. Then we look at UK oil and we look at US oil. We see, okay, this is what's going on. We're in a uptrend. Prices are moving up. So we're looking to be in a bullish market structure. Thus, we want to go ahead and we want to place buys for these particular trades. And again, you will notice that each and every one of these accounts, albeit their demo and albeit I do want to ultimately get to a real account soon, because I do believe that is definitely where the magic is going to happen. But what I want to go ahead and really preach to everybody is the fact that starting small with a $100 account is absolutely all right. Again, I'm not looking to be a billionaire overnight. I'm not looking to be a 10, 11, 12 counting figure person overnight. All I'm looking to do is get to that path, step by step, day by day, brick by brick, trade by trade. And the advantage of starting out small is that the number one rule of investing, in fact, I have definitely talked about this at some point, but the number one rule of investing for me Do not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. And I have had to learn that lesson many a time during these 2 years. It's got, I've been put in tough situations because I did not follow that rule. And so now I know, okay, if I want to make sure I invest money that I cannot afford to lose, let me think about this. $100 to me is a starting point for a lot of people where you can afford to throw $100 out into the market. Because let's also think of it like this. What else we would use that $100 for? Going to the bar for a weekend? More than likely, especially with the way that prices are nowadays, that's probably $100 a night out. More than likely. Especially if you put food into the mix, because hey, listen, I've been there before. If we all get a little crazy, we all get a little drunk, we are definitely going to need some food in that situation. So, let's throw food in there, and then let's also throw the Uber, because you're damn right that I do not want anyone, especially if we have that bar money, I certainly do not want anyone going out to the bars and ordering food and deciding to drive. Don't do that, please. And far be it for me to think about taking a bus back home. Come on now. We don't got time for that. So the option then is Uber. So when you add this together, drinks, food, and Uber, on a good day, that's about $100. So my question to you is, can you afford, and again, I know this is one example. I also know there are other situations that are out there that also cost $100 that I'm not thinking of right now. So please don't feel like I'm judging you for that, because I know there are other situations, other circumstances that also incur $100. But with that being said, my question is, can we, understanding that it can be money that we could afford to lose, are we okay? Are we comfortable with putting $100 in the Forex market and at least getting that experience? Now, before you even do that, again, I strongly encourage, strongly emphasize, strongly request that you trade on a demo account first out of anything, because you need to know how this works before you start to put real funds in there. But after you do that, then my question becomes, can you then take that uncomfortable action of putting at least $100 into the account, putting it into your Forex account, and let's get this thing going. If we can do that, then what we do is that we are working towards gathering our freedom. In my scenario of a 1% of a 1% of a 1% of the $6.6 trillion market equals about $6.6 million. Even if you got 1% of 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%, I think I said that right. I'm going to have to replay that. Point being, even if you got 1% of that, of what we just calculated, so about 100 per, so if you take 6.6 million, divide that by 100, so you're taking about 2 decimal points, that's about 66,000. Could 66,000 that you gained in this market, it's about 1% of the $6.6 trillion market that we are in. If you got that, would that, quote unquote, change your life? If the answer is yes, then you at least owe it to yourself to try to at least make an attempt, give a effort in terms of at least looking at this and saying how, we got about 31, 27, 26 seconds before this candle close, we get into a buy trade for UK oil. But my point being, you owe it to yourself to at least give it a look, at least do it, commit yourself to at least, what am I on right now? At least 30, 31 days, at least give it 30, 31 days, give it a month, try it, do it, execute, participate. because by doing that, you can see how powerful this is in terms of gathering your freedom. Instead of worrying about how the job is going to take care of you or something along that line, instead of us needing to worry about our bills, and trust me, there are situations I've been in that circumstance. But if we can at least, because of with the way the world is working right now, we obviously cannot stay where we're at, right? Because by staying where we're at, all we're doing is we're leaving the door to more of the world's quote unquote bullshit to affect us. Pardon my French, but that's the way I see it. So we want to go ahead and do everything in our power to do the things that not everyone else is doing, because the road less traveled gets you to the desires and dreams that you seek. I don't know if someone already wrote, I don't know if someone already said that, but if not, I'm going to take that. That's my quote. But that's not the point. The point being, this is a way to gather our freedom from all the world's tyranny, all the world's financial bullshit. And so that's how come I do this. That's how come whatever happens, great, bad, whatever, I know the opportunity, I know the vision, and I know what I want to do in doing this. And I hope for those that are listening and those that are watching, they can also see the power, and they can also see the opportunity and the promise. And when you can see the promise, when that promise is clear, then the price of what we're doing right now is super easy to me. Now that I cannot take credit for. That's Dr. Luis Ariaza talking, but point still stands. And here's the thing, even when we take a loss, when we take a win, when we blow an account, what we're doing is we are switching up our tactics, because we understand what was working and what was not working. And so we are trying not to stay stagnant in this market. The market is very dynamic. The market is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because it's simply not something that you can predict. It's always going to throw a curveball. It's always going to throw a grenade at you. And all you have to do is adapt, absorb, take in, and execute and plan the strategy. Because this is a wave that we're riding. I do believe that the power of Forex trading, and again, I'm not the only person on YouTube talking about Forex trading. I guarantee you there are other people, as I'm taking a look at these trades. I was supposed to get into a buy with UK oil, and I did not do that, so I need to do that right now. I also forgot to place a buy on US oil. So what I did right there, by the way, is I closed one of my sell trades that were already in profit. And just taking a look right here. Yep, I went ahead and I closed one of my sell trades that are already in profit, so that I don't have to needlessly open up a buy trade if I don't need to. Again, that's the beauty of my hedging system, is that if I see a buy trade and I already have a sell trade that's in profit, I can just go ahead and close that, and that'll be satisfactory for me. So just to recap, everybody, I've got a buy trade on US oil, a buy trade on UK oil. I've got a sell trade on gold, and I've got a sell on platinum at the moment. And all we're doing right here is we're riding the wave. We're seeing exactly where the market is going. Our objective is to be the surfboard, the surfer in this wave, where we're just catching the wave and riding it and allowing us to see where this wave goes. And again, we have targets for where we want to go ahead and say, okay, I'm done with the wave. The wave was excellent. We can go ahead and we can move on. And so the point in all this, because there is I promise you there is a deeper meaning, a deeper point right here. But the idea is for riding the wave, understanding our strategy, and having the ability to adopt when we fall off because here's the thing: when you first are on a surfboard, right? And I'm saying this to especially to my day one participants right here. If you're riding a surfboard, you're not going to get it the first time. You cannot, especially because it's just so new. Your brain, your consciousness is just learning how to surf. You do not catch and ride the wave successfully your first try. You may. I will not say it's an impossibility, but it's rare. It's an unlikely chance that that is going to happen. And so what we want to go ahead and do, all our objective is in that scenario. Okay, so the idea is that we fall off once, we get up again, and we keep going. We fall down again, we get up again, and we keep going. And that's really comes down to commitment to the game. What is the commitment level that you have for yourself? This is one of those things where, and I'll be the first to say that well, I know I'm not the first in life, but I will be the first to say that there are things that I think about in my life: judo, baseball, acting, and there was this music app I wanted to develop, but I never got around to it. I never finished it, and that all went to the wayside. I did not finish what I started. And over these past 2 years, because even before Forex trading, my first podcast, the Keeping It 100 podcast, that was something that I started. And I thought to myself, I really like podcasting. And no matter what, I always wanted to be in a position where even if when I started this, no matter how it would go, no matter the road it would take me to, I would finish out podcasting. That would be something that I always wanted to do. And with Forex trading, when I first discovered that back on November 1st of 2020, this was another thing where it's like, no matter what happens, I must go ahead and I must finish this. And that's my commitment to the game, is that I will finish. I am finishing this to the last of my days, no matter what. That is my commitment to you. And so when I go through these trades, when I go through the days, I am grateful to be in a position still where I can go ahead and record and do the things that I love doing, and still be able to provide a quality show with, I'm envisioning quality education that someone, again, my viewership, I don't care how many people are viewing it. What I really care about is what information all these viewers are gathering, and how are they using it to better apply themselves and better equip themselves with the skill to take advantage of their own life, to take control, I should say, of their own lives, rather than the job or the world or whatever controlling them. And so we go from day 1 to day 31, and I'll go from day 31 to day 62, and day 62 to day 124. Yes, that's 62 times 2 is 124. The point being is that the staying power isn't the equity. I talked about before that the staying power is the equity in our account. Yes, that's true for one account. But then after that first account, because everyone's going to blow their first account. I've seen it time and time again. What's going to happen after that first account? What you're going to say to yourself is, okay, what's next? And when we answer that question to ourselves, okay, what's next? I hope my answer, my prayer, if you will, is that you will continue going. And again, the beautiful part is it is free. I'll talk about the importance of freedom. It is free to register an account with a Forex broker, preferably a one that allows you to hedge trade. Hugo's Way is one of them. I've tried out Clover Forex and MBFX. I believe they do the same thing. You will definitely need to find one that is not located in the United States. And again, the thing is that they've got their own thing with the global recession that happened. I've talked about it before, where they don't like anybody doing the hedge trading. So I would prefer you to find somebody that is not part of the US. That's my recommendation. So the objective, just coming back to the objective of what we're doing out in the, and bear with me, I'm just taking a look at everything. Okay. And so the objective is to keep moving forward day by day, step by step. And what you're also going to be paying attention to within that staying power, if you blow an account, understand that, that's not the end. You can keep going. You can push the reset button and you can go again with the knowledge that you've already accrued. You can transcend to the next account, no problem. And also what we can do, the positive takeaway in this is that we can make sure that by learning, the goal is to increase your equity, right? That's the end all be all goal. And by learning what we're learning right now, we can go ahead and take advantage of that possibility. So we will stick with the plan. We'll stick with the plan of these three things. Find the trend, whether that's bull or bear. Have the risk management down, whether that is for every $100, you increase your lot size to 0.01. Whether we put if price hits a certain amount of drawdown, we go ahead and we start the hedge trade right there. Whether that is when we see that arrow, we get in, and if we see the arrow transition to the next candle, we do a cost average. We have all that as part of the plan. We stick with it. We also refine it, where if there are things that are great, we add. If there are things that absolutely suck, we get rid of. And we keep going from there. Again, this is all part of, oh, by the way, I need to actually do this. Here I am talking, I forget, oh yeah, I gotta place a barrier right here. So let me see. So the low on this was 88.961. The 200 here. It's 88.749. Okay. 88.749. Perfect. But yes, we will go ahead and we will stick with our plan. And of course, we're going to, as we adjust this plan, we need to take into account, okay, because some trades have different swap fees, of course. We've certainly been seeing that with, the way that swap fees for metals work compared to the swap fees that work for oil. It's a different direction. So we know, okay, here are some of the things that we need to pay attention to, right? Now, the beauty of what we're doing here as retail traders, and I've said this before, and this will give us encouragement, inspiration on the road ahead. We're not under intense pressure to do absolutely anything in this market. The only people that we need to answer to is ourselves. The only people that need to know how much that need to know how much money we're making is ourselves. We can be as private as we want to. We can be as public as we want to. Now, I'm doing this. I do this in a public forum where you're seeing me trade and you're seeing my results only because I want you to see what's possible. Only because I want you to know that if I can do this and the universe is not a respecter of people, another great quote by Dr. Luis Ariaza, if I can do this, you can do this, right? But you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can just keep it to yourself, and that's absolutely perfect. But the idea is that you're not under intense pressure from any one of your quote unquote stakeholders, like the institutional investors, like the hedge funds, or you're not, or the deposit account holders at banks, or the people that vote for you in government when you do something that impacts the economy. That, by the way, directly correlates with what we're doing right here in the Forex trading side of things. See, we're not under intense pressure to worry about any of that. All we need to know, all we need to answer to the person that you report to in the Forex market as a retail trader, that guy is yourself. Now, we don't want to predict our goal right here when we trade is that we're not predicting the future of the market, right? We're not going into our crystal ball and saying, "Ooh, I feel today is going to be and you know, I'm trying to act like one of those like fortune teller. By the way, I don't know what that experience is like, and I'd love to try it. So, you know, I don't want to make fun of that. But I'm thinking of just like the TV shows where it's just like, you know, or the movies that have all those crazy fortune tellers, which dramatize the heck out of them, by the way. I firmly don't believe they actually act like that. That how they act in the movies is way too pretentious, and I don't see that from them. But the point being is that we don't have our crystal ball telling us, ooh, the market is going to go this way, so we must take trades. No, we can't obviously predict the future of what is to come. We can manifest, we can envision that that we are great traders, that we are 10, 11, 12 counting figure earners, or at least I can envision that. I don't know what your vision is. And frankly, I don't need to know what your vision is because it's your vision, not my vision. But point being is that we're not predicting the future of the market. We are just taking the data. And I said this before, I believe on day 10 and day 11, we are just taking the data that is in front of us, you know, all of our nice supports, our trends, our resistances, all that good stuff. And we're making a determination of where the market is going to go. Again, another very important thing I want you to write down is that the trend is your friend. The trend is your friend. If you notice that you're in a sell trend, a bear trend, where prices are just continuing to go down, where you have higher highs, higher lows, chances are, until the market tells you otherwise, you're still going to be looking for a sell. And so you would make your money by placing a sell trade because you make money when prices go down. Vice versa for a bull trend. If there's data that prices are continuing to go up, then if we know we make money with buy trades when prices go up, then we'll go ahead and we'll place buy trades. There isn't anything that'll tell us any different. I'm just looking at these trades right here. And so the point being that if the trend is our friend, and one of our confirmations is indeed trend, then do take solace in the fact that the up arrows that we see, the down arrows that we see are mainly there because of the fact that we're noticing first and foremost that we are either in a downtrend, in the case for gold and platinum, or we're in an uptrend, a buy trend when it comes to US and UK oil. Okay, everybody, so we are back, and let me go ahead and get this sell going for platinum, because we did see that the down arrow moved over to the next candle, so I want to go ahead and make sure we take advantage of that. The high point was 897.97, 897.98. Okay, come on. Perfect. Okay, so we'll move that 200 points. That gets us to 900.05. Just a little bit. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we got that going. And then we got to move gold because that is a sell for gold. So again, our down arrow moved over to the next candle. So we're going to take a sell on that. Then UK oil, we are monitoring UK oil for the meantime. And then US oil, we are doing the same thing. So we're looking at about our trades right here. So we got one open US oil trade, one open US oil trade for the buy. And then we've got three sell trades for gold, and then 3 sell trades for platinum. So that's what we have right now. That's what we are working with. So we're going to go ahead and allow those trades to play out. So now the beauty of the system, or the beauty of the way that we're trading, is there are, and we'll start to notice this as we move forward, as we go ahead and we take a look at some of the early trades that we are doing. But there are plenty of opportunities out in the market to indeed make mistakes. And so there are going to be times where, we've talked about where we are going to be wrong. And yes, we can go ahead and we can focus on that if we want to, or we can go ahead and focus on what's right, understand that there were lessons to be learned while taking these particular trades, and also an opportunity to learn from outside of my perspective in terms of what I'm doing. I'm, just looking at my inner perspective and understand that these mistakes are just more so growing opportunities for us that we can go ahead and continue to grow, continue to develop as we move forward. And then another beautiful part that I also want to talk about is the circle of anxiety, right? And it's very easy for a lot of us. And I talked about, when we first started, In fact, let me go ahead and pull up a diagram. All right, let me see. There we go. Okay. Tell that. Right? Now, I want to put into what I was talking about when I first brought up the circle of anxiety, especially because I feel that we just need a little bit of a reminder. And let's see. Just want to check on some of these trades right here. Okay. 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 And okay. So the idea with the circle of anxiety is first we take a trade, and about 90%, just on average, 90% start off in the negative. Now, the reason being is one thing and I briefly mentioned this, and we'll talk more about it later, is the fact that you'll have what's called a spread. Now, the spread can differ depending on the pair that you're looking at. I believe that platinum, out of every pair that I've traded, platinum has the highest spread, at least during this particular time that I'm trading it. And that spread is automatically the biggest way that you would go ahead and you would lose money. It would start you off in the red. It would start you off in the negative. And what that could do to somebody is that could go ahead and cause people to panic a little bit, especially if this is their first time trading, because they would get into a state of, it's a new thing. So it's new emotions, which is exactly how come I do advise people to practice with a demo account so you can get through those emotions initially. Now, those emotions will come up when you transition from demo to live. Don't get me wrong, that will still happen, but you would at least be able to have a better understanding, a better rein on it, and you'll be able to be self-aware that is indeed happening for you. And then the next thing that will happen, and this is probably one of my favorites to talk about, is the play-by-play analysis. 1 minute time frame check. I actually kind of maybe want to move this a little bit. Why don't we do it right here? In fact, this is what we'll do just because I know there's a lot of stuff in the way. So I'm gonna pause what I'm saying. First, draw the circle. Then you can label this circle of anxiety. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. Okay, then take this arrow down, and then write this down. Take a trade 90%, start off in the negative. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Then we'll take this arrow, write this over here, and we'll say play by play. And let's move that a bit. How about we move? And then we can also space that. There we go. So then play-by-play analysis, 1 minute time frame check. I'll give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Just do a rundown of how our trades are doing. Okay, and okay. Okay. So coming back to over here now. So we do have our play-by-play analysis. And what will happen during that time is, ooh, I'm going to go into the 1 minute time frame. Oh, it's going up. Oh, it's going down. Oh, it's going up. Oh, it's going down. Ooh, wait a minute. Now I see that it's surging. And a 1 minute candle when it's surging, by the way, isn't as big as you would like it to be, because again, you're looking at you're taking the microscope of the market and you're really owning in on just very few candles. So a big 1 minute candle doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. But again, not the point. The point being is that you will go into this play-by-play analysis mode, just checking the 1 minute time frame and seeing what's going on every single minute. It happens to the best of us. I remember when I did that myself, so don't worry about it, but it is going to happen. Then you're going to go into what I like to call the getting out of the trade as soon as you hit profit. So let's say, for example, you're taking give you 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So let's say, for example, and don't mind me, I'm just taking a look at all my trades right here. So let's say, for example, that you are in your trades and all of a sudden, what happens is you go into what's called let's say you get into a 0.01 lot size trade. Now, what will happen in these scenarios is you get yourself into the trade. And what you end up doing is you end up, oh, I'll have to edit that. But the point being is that you get into these trades, and what will end up happening is you see that you're doing the 1 minute candle thing. So you notice, ooh, okay, I'm in profit. I have a 10-cent profit, which means you made a pip on said trade. And you go ahead and you close it because you don't know any, because again, you're just learning, you don't know any better. And you take that 10 cents. And then you take another trade, it wins 10 cents. You take 10 cents. When you go into another trade, gains a pip, you close that trade, you earn 10 cents, and you keep doing that over and over and over. And so by the time you know it, if you stayed in that trade, you could have gotten more pips and you could have collected a bigger profit. Now, again, you should have a target for what you're trying to achieve. So for me, for example, I always tend to look for 30 pips. Now, depending on how our strategy evolves, that goal can certainly change. But my goal, at least for right now, is to indeed look for that particular pip amount. And so, coming to our conclusion right here, what we'll end up doing is we'll keep on this cycle where we're just, we're instantly closing our winners without giving it time to grow, without giving it time to breathe. And so that is the third stage of the circle of anxiety. Just looking at my trades. Okay. So then we go into what we call into hanging on to the losing trades. So now in this scenario, let's say you're in a trade and you're looking for a buy because you're in a bull market structure. You're seeing that things are confirming that you need to get into a buy trade. And then as you do that throughout several candles of work, so you've been watching the trade, you notice that your trade is no longer in a buy trend, that it is starting to turn into a downtrend. What a lot of us will do in the back of our minds will say, ooh, it is going to come back. It is going to go ahead and that trade is going to come back. No problem. Well, by the time it actually starts to go the way that you want to, you're about, you're about 100, 200, 300 pips in drawdown. And it's a tough road to climb back. Now, granted, again, I'm looking at equity when I do this. And so you can easily say to me, and it's a very valid point, aren't you an X amount of pip drawdown? And of course I am, if I'm looking at balance. But again, I look at equity, so I'm thinking to myself, okay, is my equity going in the right direction? And as long as the answer is yes, then that's all I need to worry about. The balance could be whatever, but the equity just needs to go along. Equity needs to go up along with the balance. And so what will happen is that you will get into a severe drawdown. Your equity, more importantly, will get into a severe drawdown, and it'll take a while for you to come back to break even. And so with that being said, that's how come, for some pairs, I have a safeguard for that. My solution is that the arrow disappears. For a lot of my pairs who are in about my phase 2 strategy, I wait for the arrow to disappear before I go ahead and exit my trade. Or if I get 30 pips, that's when I close the trade as well. Now, with that being said, there are other situations where I would go ahead and, second, there we go. Okay. So there are other situations where, I have, for example, UK oil. If price hits my red line, then I'm done with this trade because I'm not going to hold on to that trade and understand even if it ends up turning back around because I know better with this pair not to do that. As well as platinum. I got these 3 lines right here because if price decides to hit that line, I'm done with those trades. I'm getting out of them. And that is me making sure that I don't hang on to losing trades. And also by establishing for myself a 30 pip goal, because I was one of the ones that was just closing trades when I got 10, 20, 30 cents on a 0.01 lot size. Now I know that for a lot of these trades, my objective is to go ahead and look for what I like to call a more sustainable goal, a more fixed goal in 30 pips, which for a 0.01 lot size would equal $3. Now, as we move forward throughout the circle, we will get to this point. Everyone gets to this point. I was talking to a friend, and he said to me, "Well, you don't your badge of honor as a trader is when you blow an account." And it's true, you're going to blow an account. If you can go ahead and just accept that truth that you will blow an account, and what I mean by blow an account, it will go to $0, or as you've seen here, it will go to a negative balance. If you can accept that and say it's going to happen, then when it does happen, it's not going to be as the impact won't be as severe or as gut punching when it happened to me for the first time, because it was a gut punch when it happened to me for the first time because I didn't know any better. But now that I know, okay, it's going to happen, these things do happen, then I can go ahead now and accept it when it does happen and understand, okay, this whole thing happened because I did something that doesn't clearly work. And so now that this account has been blown, I'm grateful that account has been blown because now I can tweak the things for the stuff that I want in my strategy and the stuff that I don't want that wasn't working. And so you will blow an account. Then you get to this part. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to keep trading? Everyone has that question. Everyone has that question. Everyone's going to have that question. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to keep trading? Now, I'm not here to make a decision for you. That, of course, is going to be up to you. I mean, we all have the power to do what we want to do. However, I will say I have asked myself that question many times. I remember the first account that I made back in November 2020, I'm sorry. November of 2020, I made my first account. It was $100, and I blew it very easily because I didn't know what I was doing. And that was the first time I asked that question, do I want to keep going? And it was a question that, of course, ultimately I said yes to, otherwise we would not be here. But I know that question when I first asked myself that question, I truly didn't know the answer to that because, well, when a bomb like that drops on you, it is going to rally you just a little bit. I can go ahead and say all of the things that are going to help you condition in order to not have that blow be as impactful. But rest assured, I will not make the I will not excuse me. I will not say that it will not hurt you. I won't say that. That would be a lie. It is going to hurt you somewhat, but with that pain And we talked about this before on You Can't Hurt Me. That pain is what you need as fuel to help you develop your mind to see, okay, I went through that. I can go through that again and I won't be as hurtful. It won't be as painful as it once was because now I know what that pain is like. I can go ahead and brace for it, and I can go ahead and my mind can be armored to that pain if it ever comes again. But this question will come up, to make a long story short. And that is something that I hope I envision that everyone will say yes to, especially if you've been following my journey. Because again, blown accounts have happened on this channel, and and the answer every time that this question does pop up, by the way, even if when you get to 2 years experience. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to keep trading? That question will always pop up whenever something like blown account happens. And I always say yes right away. Again, those questions, it won't stop the questions from coming. My response will always be yes each and every time. Because again, it all comes back to the opportunity that we really truly have once we're able to see exactly where this opportunity can take us. Retail traders only need to worry about themselves. Again, when we, and of course, and by the way, this is the last stage of circle of anxiety. So once you're able to finish this first stage, then you've already mastered your circle of anxiety. You've gone through your own circle of anxiety, and you can go ahead and you can keep moving forward. And again, I strongly advise that you only truly just need to worry about yourself. And that should give you also a certain sense of freedom when trading, because you have the freedom to play in just your own account. You're not trading for anyone else. And by the way, do not make that mistake of trading for somebody else. I tried that before. It was way too much pressure. That's why I will never, I'll never say never, because that never really, saying never really never happens. That's a quote from me if no one already said that. Saying never, never happens. That's my quote. But anyway, point being, I would be seldom, hesitant, reluctant. I would be resistant to trading for someone because I've tried that. It's just too much anxiety. It's too much stress. I'm trying to focus on my own accounts. I don't have the patience to focus on somebody else's account. I really have the ability right now to just trade on my own account and teach people what I'm doing in the hopes that, again, you have the freedom to either follow me, choose to do what I'm doing. And that's all I really have that's what I feel I have the most control. This helps me become the most controlled, the more secured in my trading. I would feel less secure. I would feel less in control if my emotions went from not only just my account, but having to worry about somebody else's account. And that is just my own prerogative. That is just my own perspective. So I would hope, once again, that you're just trading on your own account. And if someone wants to trade, you tell them to get their own account and follow you and start trading. Because that's the only way this is worth it in the end, because you're doing the work. Educated decisions on placing a trade in the market. We talked about it. There's no crystal ball that's telling me to place these trades here, place these trades there. Because again, if there was, then 100% of the time I'd be winning. And as we have clearly seen on this channel, you do not win 100% of the time. But what we are doing on our trading is we're basing our trades based on educated decisions that we have already made on our trades. Now, what do I mean by that with that huge tangent of and jumble of words? What I truly mean to say is that we are looking at, for example, this buy trade. We're looking at it because we can see that there is a support. That price is developing. We have seen an uptrend that price has created. And I'm okay with taking a buy trade the way that I took this buy trade. It doesn't mean I'm going to win all the time, but I'm making trades to where most of the time I am indeed winning. The same thing goes for the same thing goes for US oil. This trade may not win, but I certainly want to make sure that I am taking the necessary steps in order to win my trading. Then we look at gold, the opposite. I've seen that we've been in a downtrend. I've seen that we have hit a resistance in the market, and thus I would be more comfortable, more susceptible to placing sell trades for gold than not placing sell trades. Same thing for platinum. I've seen we've been in a downtrend. I am more susceptible. I am more comfortable with placing a sell trade in this market right now, more so than placing a buy trade at this particular moment. And I would say more than half the time we've been right, but there have been times that we have been wrong. And that is a fact that you are going to understand. We can make all the analysis in the world, all the educated decisions in the world, but we have to also realize that this is not a 100% winning game. We will need to take losses at some particular point. Because at the end of the day, investing is a zero-sum game. I remember I'd mentioned that investing in some sense without it, because investing is not gambling. However, one gambling game that I can allude to or make a comparison to is poker. The reason being, in a poker game, you've got about, well, in the games I've played, at least 5 or 6 different people that have their own money, their own capital to invest in this game. And what's going on during this game is that people are winning chips, people are losing chips, people are taking chips from everybody else, until ultimately you've got the last man standing. You've got the last player at the table who's got all the money, who's got all the chips. And so in this Forex market, everyone is throwing their chips one way or another, and we're all doing the same thing. So we're in this game. And I always say, whenever I go back to whenever I won my poker games, because there have been times I've lost embarrassingly, like I was the first one out, mind you. But the times that I've won, that's not a whole lot, but I have won games. I have understood that the way I won was because I was patient enough to stay in the game long term. That I make what I would consider educated decisions. If I didn't like a hand I had, I tossed it out. I was like, no, I don't like this. Now, there have been times using my intuition where I'm like, you know what, let's try this. And that's the difference between poker and Forex trading, by the way, is that that game is completely luck. There's no skill whatsoever. Well, I wouldn't say that there's no skill, because you do need to have skill in order to make sure you stay in for the long term by using subtle tactics. But most of the time, poker is just a luck game. In Forex, there's no such thing as luck. All we're doing is that we're making educated decisions. We're making sure that we're staying in for the long term. And by making sure that we stay in for the long term, we're able to go ahead and be able to still trade, still do the things that we want to do. And sometimes, as you've seen in this show, I have blown an account, aka I have been the first to leave the poker table. But I always come back either the next day, or I don't believe I've ever come back within the same day, but I have come back the next day ready to go, ready to place my chips on the table. And again, that's all about commitment to the game. And that's also showing that just because someone took me out initially doesn't mean I come back the same time and I cash him out. Now I say this in the sense that I'm not trying to get to anybody. I'm not trying to get to the market. I'm not trying to beat anybody in the market. But what I really mean is that I've got the attitude to say, okay, the market didn't beat me. I beat myself by losing on these accounts. Now my callous mind, after having that experience, goes, okay, I'm coming back in. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. I know how I beat myself, and I'm not going to let myself beat myself again if I can help it. And so every decision that we have made so far, regardless of if it has been good or bad, has always been based on a trading plan that I have created, that I have refurbished, that I have retweaked, that I have repackaged, and I have went back in. And that's what we need to do. Whether you follow my strategy or not, that's not the point. The point is you have to come up with your own trading plan in order to go ahead and really be successful in this game. Otherwise, chances are you're not going to be successful in this game. There's no way for me to see you'd be successful if you don't have a plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Not my words. I heard that from Salvatore Leto, but I don't think that was his words either. I think it was someone else on a very, very, very long ago speech somewhere, that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we're basing every investment decision on a deep understanding of probabilities, right? We look at a buy trade because we see that we're in a bull market, and chances are, that's what at least our perspective as a trader is, chances are it's going to continue to go up. A sell trade, we see a down arrow, we understand that we're in a bear market, chances are that bear market is going to continue, and we'll go from there. We are, and let me make this perfectly clear. In fact, I'll write this down too. 1 second here. Let me make this one thing perfectly clear. We are not going to beat the market. The combined people that are watching my channel, the combined people that are wanting to participate in the Forex market, we are not going to beat the market. It is a $6.6 trillion a day and growing market, full of many participants, full of participants that have a lot bigger capital than we do. They are the ones that control this whole thing. We don't control the market, as I have said. All we can do is that we're looking at the winners and say, well, if we can't beat them, join them. That's the whole thing, right? You've heard this. I'm sure you've heard this saying before. If you can't beat them, join them. And so our objective is to not compete and directly go against the market. Our job is mainly to go ahead and just join whatever in they're doing. They say success leaves clues. And if we want to follow these successful people, we just got to follow the successful people and follow their clues. Now, only a very small percentage will win this market. And so again, we join the winners, because at the end of the day, you can give me stock market, you can give me real estate market, you can give me crypto market, you can give me any financial market you want to. However, with that being said, The only rebuttal I have for that, for any market you give me, is the matter of, oh, okay, so this was, I believe, a buy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place a sell because that buy arrow has disappeared. So that trade is no longer in effect. Okay. So we move on from oil or US oil. We still got UK oil to work on. And we also have gold still in a go, 3 trades for gold. And then we've got our platinum trades going on right now. But I say this, oh, I'm going to close that trade and get myself 30 pips. That was about 40 pips, by the way. So that was awesome. But more to the point, what I'm trying to say is Forex trading, give me any market in the world. And just like any other sporting event, you can give me the biggest sporting league, MLB, NFL, NHL, all that good stuff. But everyone wants to pay attention to the Olympics because that is the toughest sports competition you'll ever see. And so when I think of Forex, I think Forex trading in the Forex financial market, it's the Olympics of the financial market. It is the single biggest entity out there that everybody in the world can participate in. And thus, lead me to the Olympics. This is a competition now. Not in the sense that we're competing against everybody. This is where you compete with yourself at the grandest stage in the financial market. This is where the big boys come to play. And if you've been following me for 31 days, you're either a to turn a phrase, you're either a big boy or a big girl who wants to do this. There's no other way in saying it. And so if that's true, then you just got to do it. You just got to get into it. You just got to train. You got to compete and understand that you are in for a ride. And you have to be willing to accept that you're in this fantastic ride and you want to enjoy the process. Actually, now that I think about it, what am I in? I think I want to go ahead and move these guys. So here. Oh, let me close that. Let me close that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and move this down to about here. I'm going to move this down to about here. And I'm going to move this down to about here. Especially because we're in now what I'm doing right here, by the way, is that I'm making what's called a trailing stop loss. And we're going to talk more about that a little bit later and how important that is to do what I'm doing right here. But just know that I'm moving these down so that I can secure the profit that I've already collected. And we're going to move that a little bit more down as we move forward with these trades right here. But this is basically what I'm doing in order to be successful. So with that being said, I talked a lot of concepts with you that I've really wanted to bring up just by looking at some of my previous videos. So now I want to take this time to transition back to The Miracle Morning by Hal Chase. Talked a little bit about the Miracle Morning. That was the third book that I read in my journey of being a student. And again, every book that I read, by the way, is straight up the cliff notes, the spark notes, whatever you want to call it. So Unshakable by Tony Robbins, You Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, Miracle Morning by Hal Chase. You owe yourself this favor of just picking up the book. You owe yourself that favor of just picking up the book. So let's go ahead and let's talk about it. So The next thing I want to talk about in this book is taking your life head on. It is crucial to embrace the perspective that anything another person. Oh, wait, hold on. I've already read that part. Oops. Let's try that again. It's your time. This is your story. Know that wherever you are in your life right now is both temporary and exactly where you're supposed to be. It's so funny because I go back to what I've been writing in my journal. And I've talked about journaling so many times. And if you've not journaled, ooh, you're missing out. You're missing out. You must journal. Can't stress that. Can't stress that enough. You must journal. But journaling, yes. But anyway, in my journals, there's this specific phrase that I write down, and I want to go ahead and share it with you. You've heard it before, especially if you've been on my journey already. But I want to make sure you understand where I'm coming from when I read this. Stop for a moment. All right, stop for a moment. I'm doing a great job. Be patient with myself. I am at the right place at the right time. Remember, big things are not achieved all at once, but one day at a time. Focus on my priorities. I am a big boss, and I make big boss moves. Now, I've said this phrase already, but I've repeated this phrase a few times. But know this: wherever we are at in trading, even if we're just doing it on demo, even if we're doing it on a real and we've blown our first account, we're not doing so well, or you're successful at where you're at right now and you're growing your account, wherever it is that you are at specifically in your journey, do know that wherever that place is just temporary. You have arrived at this moment to learn what you must learn so you can become the person you need to be to create the life you truly want. I'm actually going to move this a little bit more. So we're at the 895.06 mark. $895.51 and 896.08. I'm just moving it down. Don't mind me. Okay. Okay. Okay, back to what we were talking about. So we've arrived at whatever moment we are at right now because there are things that we still need to learn, still things that we need to do and experience in order to get to the next level of where we want to go. So there are things, of course, in my own trading journey. I'm just going to close that because, again, 3 cents is 3 cents. I'm not going to cry over 3 cents. But point being that, so I got to close some of these lines. Okay. That needs to close. That needs to close. Okay. And I'll just close that too. Why not? Okay. So that's zero margin. So that's awesome. So now we just have to focus on gold and oil for right now. Right. But where was I? Yes. So I'm still here at this particular moment because while there are things that I'm teaching, there are things that I still need to close that. There are still things that I need to learn in order to get better. There are still things that I need to do that I need to not only discover for myself, but then show you and teach what I'm doing so that not only I can get better as a coach, not only can I get better as a trader, but I can also get better at being a podcaster as well. And even when life is difficult or challenging, the present is always an opportunity for us to learn, grow, and become better than we have ever been before. And I truly do mean I'm grateful to be on this stage right now in day 31. I feel I've learned more in these 30 days that I've been doing this podcast, teaching, and doing the things that I've been doing and showing you guys, more than I've exponentially learned more than if I was just doing this myself. because now I've got a whole video log to tell me, hey, Mr. Guy right here, what you're doing is great, but there's still a lot more things that you can do and learn from. And I feel that's truly a blessing. It's grateful for me to be able to first and foremost wake up every morning at 4 when I can, and I'm not oversleeping like I did Monday. I'm grateful to be able to wake up at 4:30 before I trade, clear my mind, get the clutter that's been in my brain and just get that out, not worry about that stuff at that moment, and concentrate, solely focus on doing what I'm doing right here in order to teach, grow, and learn. You are in the process of writing your life story, and no good story is without a hero or heroine overcoming their fair share of challenges. I think of my heroes, and everyone's heroes are different, but Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, I've heard their stories where life wasn't all rainbows and unicorns, and I guarantee you, not everyone that's listening, at least, and even those that are not life is never rainbows and unicorns. Life is life. Life is hard. Life is challenging. But being the hero of your own story, you can understand that those challenges are there to help you move forward to the next step. The challenges so far in our journey: blowing an account, losing a trade, busting my real account when we first started. That was the obstacle. That was the impediment in my journey. And I have to overcome that impediment by still teaching, still growing, retweaking my strategy every nuanced way or another, so that we have something that we can really go ahead and start to do and start to really see ourselves achieving. The bigger the challenges, the better the story. And if we really think about it, would life be as entertaining, as thrilling? Would the stories, and I go back to some of my favorite movies, would Lord of the Rings be the absolute best trilogy that you've ever seen in your life? If and I liked this video where they showed, of course, Legolas in that movie, he's got this perfect thing with the bow. And I always think to myself, would the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy be the absolute show-stopping, thrilling, Oscar-winning trilogy that it is to this day? If the whole cast of characters decided, hey, let's just go on a giant eagle, and Legolas, you take your perfect bow with your skill and just shoot the ring into the volcano. It would have been a stupid movie in that sense. The plot wouldn't have made sense. You had elements though that would have made it, I guess, probable, but it wouldn't have been a compelling story, because everyone loves that story because of how the characters grew up or grew from that story. You got to see how Gandalf, came into from just a cheerful, magical, mind you, wizard to one of the focal leaders, one of the guiding souls for the Fellowship. You got to see how Aragorn became the Ranger and how he transitioned to the King. The Lone Ranger became the King of Men. You got to see Legolas and Gimli's relationship, to where elves and dwarves just straight up hate each other, to, oh, we're friends. We can have a friendship. This can be a thing. You got to see Frodo, who took this ring, took this journey, took this burden, and trooped it all the way to the end. While he couldn't win the quest himself, he was able to still get the job done from Sam. Sam was one of those people that was, and Sam is probably one of my favorite characters in the story because I can relate to him. He was afraid of everything. He was afraid of making a mistake or doing the wrong thing or not taking risks. And then, as you saw in his journey, in his growth, he was battling spiders, battling orcs, rescuing Frodo, kicking Gollum's ASS, and ultimately got to see Frodo through and carried him and made sure that he got off the mount, got to a safe place on Mount Doom when it exploded. And by the way, if spoiler alert, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you people either A, have no interest in this film, or B, have already seen the movie. You're just in those two camps. It's been out for 20 plus years. Come on, guys. But my point being, the hero story, the hero's journey in those movies were great because of the fact that you got to see the heroes grow. And so in our story, just, okay, let's go back from that point, that tangent, to what we're doing right here now. What we're doing right here is we're playing our own story in Forex trading. This is the hero's journey for me. This is the hero's call. And I've taken this call to a point where on September 6th, I fully heeded to the next stage, which was to do something like this because of the vision that I had for this channel. And this is part of this hero's journey where there are these obstacles. There are these things that are going on outside this channel. But with that being said, the life story doesn't get too thrilling without those challenges. You have the ability to change or create anything in your life starting right now. You can quickly and easily attract and create anything you want for your life by developing into the person who is capable of doing so. This is a skill that is going to build up the character. First, it's going to expose. First, Forex trading is going to expose you to the person that you are, and that could be uncomfortable for some people to understand that their character is being exposed each and every day that they're trading. But if you can see past that and realize, oh, so it's seeing this, all I have to do is do this. And by the way, this cannot ultimately evolve to just Forex trading, but what can you do with this skill set, with this character you're developing outside of your life? I remember when I was listening to one of Dr. Luis Arias's first, what we like to call compound psychology classes. And I take that to heart and I take notes, and I'd love to share those notes with you one day on this channel when we get to it. But one thing I've learned about trading just by hearing him speak is it's not only going to, let me turn this light right off right here. Hold on. There we go. It's not going to just impact what I'm doing just in trading, but what I'm going to do, but what I will do outside of trading. And so if you can take comfort, take solace in the fact that you're not only using what we're doing in trading to not just make money, because making money is fun and all that, but if you also see it for the perspective of what it can do to transform you, to show you how you can improve and grow as a person, if you can embrace that, then you will understand that no matter what happens, no matter what you do in this market, you're always 100%. Now, you can't win 100% in Forex trading, but what you can win 100% in is life, in growth, and in spirituality. That you could win 100% of the time. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get this trade closed out. So we got a profit right there. And so it's about 9:45. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. We've got oil right here. I'm going to go ahead and get this closed. We're going to take a sell right here. Great. Okay, so that's zeroed out, 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 and that's zeroed out as well. Okay. So that's going to be a day 31 for us. And we were able to get a lot of victories, I believe, on gold. We did take an initial victory on oil, but we did lose one, and that's okay. As far as what else we have done today, what have we else traded on? Platinum, we got a couple of ones on platinum. We did take a loss on oil. We did take a loss in LTC. And silver and gold versus euro we didn't trade on today, and that's completely all right. Again, that's the way the market goes. Sometimes you are going to win some, you are going to lose some, but it's all about making sure that at the end of the day, as I have said before, if we are winning in terms of the direction that we want to go to, that's all we care about. So with that being said, if you have any additional questions on what we're doing here, feel free to go ahead and leave a comment down below on the YouTube channel. You can also reach me at some of my favorite social medias. Jordan Rosario is my Facebook. You also have my Instagram, which is Jordan Rosario 777. You've got my Twitter handle at WC_Empresario. And by the way, guys, I'm getting my website built step by step. I might even have another video for you, just so that you're on the lookout. I may have another video for you just to see how that ClickFunnels journey for me is going. But with that being said, this is going to conclude day 31 for us. I hope each and every one of you have an absolutely amazing day. And as always, happy trading.